There we go. We should be live. There we go. People are coming in now. There's always that moment. Are we live? Have I hit the right button? Because
have I pushed the right button?
Exactly that. Normally it goes a little bit pear-shaped, but it is good. People are coming in. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see some familiar faces. Craig, Michelle, the regular Friday webinar listeners.
The loyal hardcore.
Exactly that.
We love that.
They can't get enough of our webinars at the moment, which is really, really good. The chat functions are all open, so feel free to drop in and say hello and good morning so we know everything is working. That will be beautiful. As always, I like to just give it sort of a minute or two, just so that people get themselves in, get themselves sorted, open a window, put the fans on, try and cool down in this lovely weather that we have today. Morning, Amanda.
Morning, Amanda.
I'll briefly see a message that you got to pop in and pop out today. I know you're busy. There we go. Hot day. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It really is. It really is. You haven't got a wedding to go to tomorrow, Amanda, have you? I do. Black tie in London all day long. It is going to be a velvet suit.
Yep. We've already had that chat, Amanda.
Yep. It's going to be a very, very tough day. And I did slightly get the location confused a minute ago, Justine, didn't I?
You did. Well, was it Marlborough or Marylebone? This is the question.
Yeah, this is the question. I'm going to one of those places tomorrow. Marylebone it is. Right, so people are coming in. So hopefully you can all see my screen. The session today is going to run for the full hour. We're going to leave plenty of time at the end for some Q&A exercise as well. So we do love questions. Justine loves questions. So
I need them.
We need them. So if you've got any questions at any time, if you're looking at a particular slide that you want to know more about, if you want to know more about what you can hear, please do just fire away some questions either in the webinar chat or in the Q&A. We can see both. We've also prepared a couple of polls for you today. So again, we'll be sharing those on a couple of slides throughout the webinar, sharing the results with you all as well, so you can get a little bit of extra insight. Feedback is incredibly important to both the club and Justine at Tatton. It's how we improve, it's how we get better. So at the end, when you exit from the webinar, there is going to be a little feedback form. It takes 2 minutes to complete. Please let us know your thoughts on today's session. You'll also get an email shortly after the webinar just about your CPD certificate as well. So fill in your details and you'll get your CPD certificate. So with that being said, let's get things started. So welcome to the Financial Planning Club. I feel sorry for some of those that are returning listeners because here I go again. I'm Lee, one of the co-founders, and we provide one-to-one support for financial planning firms. So we're helping firms grow, scale, get leaner, team development, individual development as well. And a huge emphasis on accountability. It plays such a massive part of our club. It's just being accountable for what we say we're going to do and being accountable for what you say you're going to do as well. If we're defining business plans and 12-month roadmaps and we're breaking those down into 90-day sprints, it's just having somebody there to keep pulling you back on track, because it is so easy to go off track a little bit, get a little bit side, and we need to just keep being pulled back in and focus on the goal. If it's not moving the needle, why are we doing it? As we know, running a business can be a very lonely place, sometimes challenging if you're wearing every cap within the business. We are firm believers of not doing things alone, but doing things together as a community as well. The other part of our business, aside from the consultancy, is our communities. There is a place for everybody within our communities, and there is a ton of resources available. From our webinars that you're on today, which is CPD accredited, to our podcast where you can hear from business owners, you can hear the highs and the lows, the good, the bad, the ugly about running a financial planning business. It's a really cool podcast you can all listen to. I believe that's on a weekly basis as well. We do have bespoke WhatsApp groups, depend on the role that you play within your organizations. It is all about virtually connecting with your peers. It's about having a place to ask some questions and get that real-time response. They are super interactive. People are always asking questions. It's the Financial Planning Podcast, David. The WhatsApp groups, we've split into 5 categories. So we've got one exclusively for business owners, we've got financial advisors, we've got para planners, we've got ops managers, and we've got mortgage advisors as well. So there's a really cool community for everybody to hang out in. Again, at the end of the session on the feedback form, there will be a little section that will ask you whether you want to join our community as well. So please do participate in the feedback. What we have coming up next. So in 2 weeks' time with Saturn AI, I'm sure some of you are familiar or have at least heard of Saturn, and we are looking at aligning AI with consumer duty and business strategy. That's proven quite popular, that webinar as well. The week after that, we are with Wade Trustees. No doubt, again, this will be absolutely huge. I think last time we had a webinar with these guys, it was close to 500 registrations. We were panicking, thinking our Zoom license, we're only allowed 500. Are we going to have to upgrade the Zoom license? But lucky enough, it was just shy of 498, I think it was. So we are talking about strengthening your IHT knowledge and your strategy again. So 2 really good webinars coming up that I encourage you all to come and join and listen to me again and some of our wonderful collaborators. But now I have huge pleasure in passing you over to Justine. Years of experience in financial services. Tatton Investment Management are a forward-thinking firm. They have market-leading technology, and it is a business built on collaboration, simplicity, and trust. And I also found out recently that Justine is a biker girl, which surprised me massively, because you turned up at our team's meeting glowing red, where you'd been all around, I think it was Scotland.
Yeah.
Scotland. So thank you so much for joining me, Justine. The floor is yours.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you very, very much. And thank you to everyone for taking the time to be here. We fully appreciate it. It's a stonking hot day, and you've all taken the time to give us just an hour of your life. So we always start with thank you. I'll try to finish with one as well. It is an absolute pleasure to be here today. I'm just going to start this properly. Lee, can you see the full screen, or can you see just the first bit?
I can see your PowerPoint, so you need to, I can see everything, so you just need to go into full screen.
There we go. Perfect. Here we go. We're off. Thank you. Well, a huge warm welcome, a very warm welcome. The red face is, as Lee said, from a tour of northern Scotland last week. Only I can ride a motorboat around Scotland and get sunburned, but there we go. You know, life lessons and all that. Very, very lucky. Not only do I have great hobbies, I have a fantastic job. And my job as commercial officer at Tatton is to spend every single day on the road with financial advisors. So what better job could there be? And one of the most important parts of my job is listening to feedback and writing presentations based on feedback from the firms that use Tatton, or maybe thinking about using Tatton, or just firms that are looking for help and guidance. So one of the best things about my job is writing presentations. And the presentation that I'm going to share with you today, and I really need your help to make it engaging, because speaking to a computer is right up there with watching paint dry. So I appreciate.
Justin, I'm here with you.
Well, I'm not alone. I'll give you that. There are at least there are 2 faces, so that's really, really helpful. So the presentation today is focusing on the most important asset. We spend a lot of time working sort of on our businesses and in our businesses, but how much time do we spend focusing on ourselves? And a lot of financial planners can, as Lee has said, get very lost in the day-to-day momentum. It's such a busy, conflicting life, so many priorities. So let's just take half an hour, 40 minutes to focus on you, your personal value, and just to take a step back and think about why you started, where you're going, and make sure we're maximizing your personal value, getting the most out of all those brilliant skills you bring to clients. But you are so humble. So let's take a moment to shine. And that's very much what the session today is about. So as always, we have some learning objectives. So very, very briefly, we'll start with those. We'll start by exploring the key components of brands, focusing on financial services business, majoring on the most important qualities, and that's you as individuals and all of the great talent in your businesses. We'll then think about how we can articulate our personal, company, and our service brands as one and collectively. And we'll do that by looking at some great examples of branding and marketing, and think about some of the synergies with financial services. And then finally, we'll think about the parallels between great branding and how that brings great trust and great relationships in financial services. Because when we think about brand, it's important in every decision we make, but never more important than when it comes to money. The whites of the eyes and money, the stakes are super high. And the trust that you have with your clients is really, really key. So let's get started. Well, we love research. I'm sure you as planners love research. Well, at Tatton, we are no different. We spend an inordinate amount of time and money every single year asking everyone what to think about that and benchmarking our research and our stats. So we buy research every year from all the companies you'll be familiar with, people like the Landcat, like Next Wealth, Platforum, and Bain & Company. They conduct a research survey only every 2 years, and this is the one from 2023. They look into the way consumers buy banking and financial services products, and they look specifically at the importance of trust and brand. And so a couple of really quite surprising statistics and quite powerful. The first one, unsurprisingly, 81% of consumers need to trust a brand before they'll buy, of particular importance when we come to a first-time engagement. If we think about financial services, we do a lot of work based on referrals and recommendation. And if we can build that trust, then it's much more likely that customers will come back and that they will endorse us to their nearest and dearest. Sometimes that's clients we want, sometimes we don't. And that's a whole other webinar when we talk about the fact that sometimes there are too many clients, not the ones that we want. We'll come back to that one. Secondly, the importance of you as business owners. Many of our businesses have evolved over time. So if we think about where we started, maybe you were a sole trader, maybe you were a partnership, and maybe it's your name above the door. But very, very likely businesses evolve over time, and we may merge with somebody else. We may bring new planners in or new support staff, and therefore the authenticity of our brand can be lost in the passage of time. So it's about taking a moment to think, does the name still reflect me? Is my brand still appropriate? Do I shout loudly enough the skills that I have? And am I communicating confidently to new clients and prospects about what we offer? Sometimes as we dilute through multiple employees or multiple touch points, that can be lost. And you know that if you pick up the phone, you'll do it a great service. But can you be sure that the same is true of every single touch point in your business? So the session today can be shared with your employees and with everyone that is representing your business. And hopefully will lead to you having a little coffee point chat about steps that you can take to shout louder about the great work that you do with clients. So let's start by exploring the landscape that we're in. This is a lovely piece of research from the Landcat, our friends in Scotland, led by Mark Paulson and Steve Nelson. I'm sure you'll all be aware of the crazy Scotsman, but they produce some powerful research every year. And that's thanks to you guys. You give them great feedback and insights. And they did this piece of research back in 2024 to look at the fragmented world. And what we see on the screen here is the wheel of choice, like the wheel of fortune for financial planning. And you at the heart, the advisor, what have all of these providers got in common, whether they are platforms, client portals, risk profilers, investment managers, cash flow modelers? Well, one thing, they all want to sell their services and products to you, and you are key to them. So you're at the heart of their world. And when you're placing your trust in a third party, you're actually making them an extension of your brand, aren't you? And that's why choice is so important. All of these brands competing. And when you choose to work with one of them, whether that's a platform, a risk profiler, or an investment manager like Tatton, we become an extension of your business. So my second thank you, a thank you to those of you that are working with us already. And we really hope that the trust you place in us, we do you the best possible service that we can. We've got a little poll now, Lee, haven't we? We're going to go on to a quick poll.
So the first poll is, do you feel financial services tech companies understand the real drivers in financial planning businesses today? What do you expect to see from this poll? Where do you think the answers are going to come in, Justine?
I think we love to hedge our bets, so I'm going to go, it's going to be majority somewhat. A bit like we love hybrid portfolios. Why would we get off the fence unless we have to? So let's go with 80%. So I'll look at that, 86% somewhat.
There you go.
There we go. Thank you very much, everyone, for your participation. And at least 17 people still awake, which is always a good indictment after a few minutes.
Yeah, we've got their attention.
We're doing all right. That's great.
We're not doing bad. We're not doing bad. So I'll just end that and share the results for everybody to see. So yeah, somewhat.
Perfect. Do I stop? I'll stop that. There we go.
There you go.
Lovely. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. So having thought about the amount of trust that you are placing in these external providers, let's move on now to think about, didn't let me move, Lee. Why didn't it let me tab? There we go. We're off. Thank you very much. Let's move on now to think about the importance of brand and the work that we do in financial services. So I thought, what better way to start than use brands that we are all familiar with, brands that we live and breathe and that surround us in everyday life. So we've got on the screen some brands that have undergone some change, and we're going to explore how the consistency and how the reveal of change can be so important. So if you're going to make a change in your business, what can we learn from these brands that we have on the screen? All of them very, very popular and very well loved, and all of them been through a degree of change over recent years. So if we start on the left-hand side with Aberdeen and Standard Life, so pre-2017, these two brands, individually respected, huge stalwarts of the financial services landscape. And in the years 2017 to 2021, we started to see them side by side, coexisting, all of the literature, very, very subtle, and we'd barely noticed it. It just sort of happened over time. And then 2021, bang in the middle of COVID, we had nothing better to talk about. So let's go.
Huge, wasn't it? This was the big one.
Well, there was nothing else to talk about, was there? We were stuck behind our desks.
Yeah.
Aberdeen, let's take the vowels out, or Aberdeen, or a burden.
A burden, yeah.
A burden. And when I first wrote this presentation, the vowels hadn't come back. So I need to add an extra blip in there to show that I've brought the vowel. I think it's me. Am I talking about?
I think they knew this presentation was coming and thought, quick.
I'll take responsibility. Culpability. So the rebrand in 2021 was a little bit abrupt, a little bit of a shock. But I'll tell you what, there's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that's not being talked about. And the amount of huge brand presence and awareness and narrative that they created, not quite intentionally, definitely led to a massive increase in interest and followership of the Aberdeen brand. And subsequently, they're now making a lovely story about bringing the vowels back and the return to the heritage and recognizing the importance of their roots. So I don't think it was contrived as it's ended up, but fair play and well done to them. They've ended up in a very, very positive place.
Yeah.
The next one, a little bit more quiet. So the very much loved Scottish Widows are our archetypal widow, beautiful lady cloaked in black. They've had a number of models take this role over the years, and really, really iconic. And those of you that are old enough or of a certain vintage like myself will remember that the Scottish Widows brand, over 200 years old, and of course, a brand built to make sure that no widow would ever suffer hardship. That should the worst happen, everyone would be taken care of. And really, the brand definitely represented that with the iconic widow image. So a decision has been made to move maybe more away from IFA centric and to be more direct to consumer, or to certainly refresh that brand. And we saw in Q4 last year the unveiling of the new widow, or the new iconic red lady. Someone said to me it's like Mother Christmas and Superwoman. I'm not quite sure, but this has been a little bit more subtle, and certainly we probably haven't seen this wash through yet, but a little bit less chat around it, but a very, very interesting change and a bold change for that brand.
Yeah.
And the final one I don't have an image for, but I always like to talk about, what about Jaguar cars? If we had a poll now, we could ask anyone, what do you think about the Jaguar rebrand? So Miami pink or London blue, I think it was. That was a very bold move, and it will definitely be interesting to see. When it comes to cars, branding is everything, and we are fiercely loyal, and a fascinating marketplace to look at.
This is it. Because I think when we set up our businesses, we all think about a brand and a message that we want that brand to portray, if you like. But
absolutely,
3, 4, 5 years into your business, that might be a little bit different. And for some of these organizations, they may have noticed that they need to maybe make it a little bit more modern, if you like. And sometimes it's not always for the best, is it? Sometimes we make worse judgments.
They get there in the end, and I think that's the thing. They have a fabulous captive audience. That's the fortunate thing about all of these financial services brands, and may I say, fiercely loyal audience. We did a recent piece of research looking at loyalty to platforms, because we're agnostic in terms of our platform availability. And my goodness me, I'm coming back as a platform in my next life. Really? Advisors are so loyal to their platforms. Possibly because it's so difficult to move them, but also because it provides such great functionality. So I hope the platforms appreciate that. I'm sure they do. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to spend a moment indulging on my favourite brand, which is also obviously Tatton. So I've been with this business for 8 years now. Our brand, very, very simple. Really, really lovely business, because we are only here to work with financial planners. So we have a really, really simple approach, and we know every single day when we wake up, our job is to be here to serve financial advisors. and you are our whole world. So built in response to IFA feedback. Our logo, very, very simply, is an oak tree, a Tatton oak tree from, funnily enough, Tatton Park, which is where the name Tatton comes from. Keeping it very simple. The reason for talking about our brand is to see those very, very simple pillars that underpin everything. So a clear logo that resonates. Consistency, it hasn't changed. We are 13 years old. The name, the colorway, everything has remained consistent, and our focus is consistent. So we talk about 3 pillars or 3 promises. Our business revolving around price, performance, and service. And we hold ourselves fully accountable on being consistent on all 3 of those. And I think having a clear strategy and being able to articulate that is super important.
Yeah.
So if you were articulating your advice business to a new client, or if you were just down the pub chatting to somebody you just met, how would you explain it? What would be the 3 iconic characteristics for your business? Would you talk about great investment returns? Would you talk about being there to hold your clients' hands in difficult times? Would you talk about providing stewardship and guidance through the generations? You know, for every business, it will be different. But how often do we take a moment to think, what are my things? What are my 3 things?
What does it mean?
And are they still there? Are they still obvious? Or have we slipped into the complacency of just taking it for granted?
Yeah.
And the final point there, super important. You signposted at the beginning the importance of feedback. It genuinely is the breakfast of champions. Not always comfortable breakfast, gives me indigestion sometimes.
Yeah.
But super
sometimes it's hard to swallow.
Yeah, absolutely. But we listen and we engage, and all of our evolutions have come from advisor feedback. And that's why you'll never see me present a load of charts, because I tend to write my presentations around practice management and supportive advisors. It's really, really important to me.
Yeah.
So moving on, now we're going to explore those key components. So we've looked at the Tatton brand. I want you to think about your brand now. I want everyone to think about the name above the door, whether you're a sole trader, whether you're part of a national, a network, whatever it is. What is your business saying about you? So let's start with your name. Let's ask ourselves, we've used the case study Colgate here in this instance. Is it distinctive? Does it identify your brand? And would it explain what you do? Does it differentiate from the competitors around you? If you're in a crowded high street and they see your brand next to somebody else, why would they choose yours? Is it obvious what you do? Is it really clear from your name? Doesn't need to have the word financial planning or financial advice. It can be a promise. It can be very much more personal than that. And it could be about articulating what it is that you believe is important to your clients. Then moving on to the logo. So the Colgate logo, super interesting. Perhaps we live with it. We don't realize it. We handle it every single day. The white tick, the smile, obviously epitomizes the mouth. And that, you know, when we look at that visual symbol, they are here to make you smile. Yeah. And when we look at their brand promise at the bottom, I certainly wasn't aware that this commitment they make is that they're on a mission to make you smile. Okay. I think that was super interesting to me. I mean, they obviously have huge marketing budgets, way bigger than any of us. We're trying to do our own. They have a whole army of people doing this for them. And then if we come to the values and the mission, this is a little bit fluffy, this one. This is the one that often gets overlooked. These are the principles and the beliefs that are guiding a brand's actions, purpose, and goals. So who'd have thought it? Colgate are here to spark optimism in everyone every day. Well, we could take that and lift it to our own businesses, couldn't we? Yeah. If we want to enjoy what we do, you know, it's really important to come into every day with a positive attitude. So it was a bit cheesy, but I think it's important. So think about those 4 key components and think about yours, and are they still doing you the best possible service and representing you fully. Now, 4 quotes. Loving my research and building this presentation, I was overwhelmed with everyone wants to be an expert in brand, and everyone thinks they are, quite clearly. My favorite one, probably Jeff Bezos.
I think so as well.
Not a massive fan of him as a person, but we have to respect some of the great things that he's achieved. And for me, it is about what people say about you when you're not in the room. How would your clients describe you to their friends and family? How would your colleagues or the people that are proudly representing your brand talk about you and how you've set up the business and what you've created? That for me is the mark that you leave on the landscape. So thinking about the legacy and thinking about how you are articulated. Howard Schultz, he is the outgoing CEO of Starbucks. Much conversation about the trouble that brand has had. I hope they were built from the heart. I think they're having a little bit of a resurgence now, but definitely a lovely quote from him there as well. So thinking about Steve Forbes, bottom left, he says, your brand is the single most important investment that you can make in your business. So this is why we're spending a few moments together today.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't got audience participation, but I want you to imagine we have. If I'm presenting this in a room of 100 people, I like engagement and I love people to shout out. So 2 brands on the screen. Hopefully you like cars. Hopefully you're thinking about PG words, not 18 words. So I've had mixed engagement on this. You either love or hate these brands. But we've been getting words such as German, trust, reliable, integrity, expensive, premium, old-fashioned, dad car.
Some say the indicators don't work on BMWs.
Well, someone did say that to me, that they all have radar, so they don't need to indicate. Yeah, I've had it all over the last decade, you can imagine. Yeah. I also like to ask, does anyone drive these? Has anyone owned multiple of these? Because we do tend to display loyalty when we're buying cars, which actually makes these brands a fascinating example when we come to look at how they've existed. Because just as in the world of financial services, we go to a networking event because we want to bring the standards up. We're all there to do our bit for our clients, to learn together, and we're in a room of competitors, and yet we don't behave like that. No. Well, the same is actually true about these 2 luxury car brands. Fiercely competitive, fighting it out for decades at the kind of top end, or nearly the very top end of the car market. A long-standing battle of the brands, but they've managed to create this lovely symbiosis, this tension and creativity between them for market share. And actually, that's very, very true of financial planning. If we rise by lifting others, then the same can be true of the luxury car market. So this is a hugely established sector, just like financial planning. And their relationship has been really, really fascinating over the years. And not least, there was this wonderful video, which you may have seen, when Mercedes-Benz outgoing CEO, Dieter Zetsche, announced his retirement in 2019. He'd been with Mercedes for many, many years. But interestingly, he'd started his career at BMW as a draftsman and had been involved in the early designs for some of their cars many decades earlier. He'd then moved to the dark side, moved over to Mercedes-Benz, and had created a fabulous culture, a real advocacy, and a very, very strong support from the people who were lucky enough to work alongside him. And I'm sure the same is true of your businesses. We're creating something very personal, and Dieter definitely did that within Mercedes-Benz. So when Dieter announced his retirement, BMW thought, okay, there's an opportunity here. We're going to do a piece of marketing. So rather than have a go at Mercedes, we're going to actually celebrate Mercedes. We're going to celebrate Dieter. And they launched a video really as a testimonial or a thank you to mark the retirement of Dieter. So I'm just going to share that with you very, very briefly now.
Yeah, that's brilliant, isn't it?
So powerful.
Yeah,
I just thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And whether you like cars or not, whether you like Mercedes or BMWs or not, you have to understand and see what a great piece of it was. An absolute masterpiece of marketing. And when we look at what actually happened there, BMW managed to celebrate both brands in in harmony together. They managed to lay them side by side and say, thank you very much. You've had a fabulous CEO. Thank you very much, Dieter, for the work that you've done. And you've done your bit for the profession. And I think we see a lot of that in financial services. We're very, very good at awards dinners, aren't we? We love to pat ourselves on the back. But are we really very good at celebrating our brands in the same way? So I think for me, what they did so well was broke away from corporate, and they really humanized the CEO and said,
100%.
He's an actual real person. And you know, it didn't end there. The most interesting thing about this is that Mercedes-Benz loved this video, and they actually tweeted back and said, well, thank you so much, BMW. We really appreciate you taking the effort. But I think you'll find that Dieter's actually chosen a Mercedes electric for his retirement journey. And this went on for a little while. They were having a little bit of banter, but really nice. And if we can use humor, and if we can humanize people, it's a really great way to do it. And in financial services, I think we don't do enough of celebrating the great work that we do. So it's okay to signpost the competition, but in a respectful way. I think that's the key thing. And if we look at the world that I live in, the world of MPS, that's definitely the case. I'm so grateful to all of the other companies that have come into the market and helped us grow it to the position that it is now. At the end of the day, we're all in it together. There's plenty of business to go at. So it's all about really showing the great work that we can do collectively. Now, moving on to another example of brand rivalry. Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Well, I'm sure a few cold ones have been sunk over the last couple of days in the heat. So never a better time to talk about these two brands in competition. Very fierce, a bit less friendly than we saw between Mercedes and BMW, because Coke and Pepsi, well, soft drinks, I never knew how divisive they were until I started delivering this presentation. I've been asking rooms, is it Coke or is it Pepsi? People generally do have a preference, so maybe I'm in the minority.
They taste completely different. They taste completely different.
I'm agnostic. I couldn't pass the taste test, whereas you obviously could.
100%.
100%. Oh, I see. I can do full fat or diet, but I can't tell between Pepsi or Coke. Definitely.
Yeah, that's surprising. Yeah.
Wow. Homework for everyone. There we go. Do the taste test with your kids this weekend.
Yeah.
So these businesses are really fighting over £100 billion. I'll say that again, £100 billion now in the USA alone, spent every single year on soft drinks. They can't get enough of them. And they're having to be very innovative because the competition are really shaping up. And we've seen a lot of innovation, whether it's diet versions, fruit versions, caffeine-free, extra caffeine, no caffeine, vegan. There are so many different variations now. So the competition is really fierce. But Coca-Cola have really had the dominance, and they've really outstripped Pepsi over the years. And going back nearly 25 years now, there was a real fight between the two of them, and Coca-Cola took out an advert, and they took this broadsheet paper out in the US, and they really put it out there, and they said, come on, Pepsi, why don't you just sell to us? We've outstripped your sales. You might as well just give up. For the first time ever, they sold 4 times as much soft drinks than Pepsi's, and they thought, well, that's it, we're just going to have a go. So Pepsi were absolutely livid about this, and they had no money, absolutely no money, because they were struggling to survive and to maintain market share. But they thought, well, we're not, we may be small, but we're mighty, and we're certainly not out. We may be down. So they came back with a very short and punchy ad, which subsequently was banned because Coca-Cola's huge legal budget managed to get it banned by the advertising committee. But we managed to find a bit of a rip-off copy of it on YouTube. So allow me to indulge myself, and I'll just share this with you now. Beautiful.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I actually think that one is probably more powerful than the Mercedes one, just because
that's fantastic.
It probably cost about £3 to do.
Yeah.
But like the email that gets redacted, the first thing you want to do is open it to know what was in it. Well, the same was true with this advert. So Coke spending millions of dollars getting it banned.
Everyone wants to see it.
It just bit them in the arse, because what happened then is everyone was on YouTube trying to view it, and it's been viral and is viewed millions of times a year today, quite rightly too, as well.
100%. It's great. It's a great video.
And Pepsi showed that they may be a smaller brand, and they're never going to compete with the Coca-Cola trucks at Christmas and all of the huge, massive brand presence. But they really showed their humor and their playful nature, and they did win back some market share. It's been relatively stable over the 25 or so years since then. But what we're not saying is have a go at the competition. What we are saying is you can do it in a playful way, and vive la différence. So celebrate the difference without undermining the overall tone, and certainly having a laugh and having a bit of humor is definitely what we need. And if we can use that to help influence buying decisions, even better. Why not? So let's think more about financial planning then. Let's bring this back to its roots. Let's bring it back to the important work that you do on a day-to-day basis. So if your business is established and if you've been running quite a long time, which a lot of people have, and maybe their business has evolved over time, so you could have brought new talent in, maybe you've been acquired or you've merged with another business, branding is super important. And as we move more to this hybrid and digital online presence, whether we like it or not, but here we are today on a webinar. It's such a lovely, flexible way to work. It means we can multitask, we can learn and do other things at the same time. Your clients are going to research your business just as you've chosen to come online today, maybe rather than drive to something in the middle of next week when you could be doing other things. The concept of being available on demand and accessible is super important. So if your clients or a new client or a prospect, especially a younger client, because they process data in a very different way, if they were researching financial planning in Swindon, if they were typing that in, would your brand come up and would it tell the right story? What would the narrative be? So thinking about making that strong, well-crafted and a really solid brand identity, this is going to be really important for your growth and for the next stage. We have a lovely statistic there from Salsify. They ask consumers about the amount they're prepared to pay for things. And unsurprisingly, most consumers will pay more for something from a brand that they trust. And loyalty, super high in financial planning, which is why those big brands that resonate with consumers are that bit easier for financial planners to recommend. And we have that trade-off between the D2C tension, those that sell direct to your clients, but you also want to use them because the customers are more comfortable with their brand. So balancing that very difficult line, but a very interesting place to study and learn from. So if we come to your brand, thinking about your business, how can you stand out? It is a crowded landscape. And you may have plenty of clients, but if we're thinking about growing our business or passing it down through the generations or keeping control of those assets, we talk a lot at the moment about the wealth transfer, about the billions and trillions of assets that are moving down from the boomers. How can you engage with those younger clients? How can you make sure that your business remains as relevant in 10, 20 years' time, whether you're looking to sell it in 5 years, but make sure the income stream is viable, or whether you're looking to remain a part of that and grow it yourself? This is where we come to you, the most important thing. What is your unique value proposition? So blank sheet of paper, just jot it down. What makes your business special? Are you able to provide complex tax planning? Do you deal with overseas clients? Do you offer face-to-face advice and hybrid advice? Do you offer advice through male and female planners? The differences can be so subtle, but being confident to shout about them, being confident to articulate the difference, so that if a client just happens to type that in, you're going to pop up and you're going to be relevant to them. So thinking about what it is that you do and articulating it through your communication, through your brand, your colorway, your logo, dare I say the words website, but thinking about making sure that the presence is correct. Social media, I know we are all cynical about social media, but this needs to be embraced. We need to understand that having an online and digital presence is really important. And it needs to sell you in the same way as if a client happened to walk into your office at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon and you were sitting there smiling as they walked through the door. They need to feel that same warmth, that same personal connection. So is it a video, a testimonial from you, a promise to your clients? Is it a link to your investment provider? Is it a picture of the whole team standing on a sunny day holding an ice cream? For everyone, it will be a different thing, but making sure the content is engaging, interactive, can be tailored. Is there the ability for the client to book an appointment? Can they gain access to you when they want to? Younger clients, they won't wait for 9 a.m. for you to open. If they can't get on, they'll scroll on to the next one. We need to think about the way people process data and the way people like to engage with you. So this is where it all comes down to making sure it's personal and it tells the right story, tailoring that message and making yourself memorable. Super important. So let's think now about bringing it back to advice. So we've got a wheel of trust on the right-hand side there. We've got the 4 components of brand, the 4 important parts that we saw when we looked at the Colgate story. We've got the name, the logo, the values, the mission, and the brand promise. So thinking about your business and building that memorable brand, making sure that you get referrals, that you're demonstrating value, and that you're using that power of that word of mouth. We've learned today about the importance of humor, the importance of celebrating and rising others, and celebrating the great work that financial planning does. The most important thing to make yourself memorable is to keep it personal. Remember the trust and remember that your clients are choosing you. And the things they tell you, is wild, the conversations that take place between planners and clients. Sometimes we find that clients reveal more to their planners than they've told their spouses or their friends, their family about their hopes, their fears, their aspirations. The trust that you have is absolutely incredible. It's just a case of celebrating and being bold enough to talk about that and demonstrate the value of what you do. It's so much more than just that annual meeting or the investment returns that you're delivering. So it really, really is time to be confident and time to shine.
I think this is a good point to run the next poll, right?
Sure.
It's the next poll. It has this webinar triggered anything that's made you think? Do you need to review your website or your social media presence? Do you think it would benefit from a refresh currently, just to revisit it sometimes? Because like I said at the beginning, sometimes we set these things up at the beginning of our journey and we don't revisit them for so many years. And our messaging might have changed. The type of client that we're trying to attract might have changed as well. And the brand doesn't always reflect that as well. So, it's interesting to see that, 56% of people that are participating here, or that it's going up. So the vast majority of people think, yeah, I probably do need to revisit some stuff. Does that surprise you at all?
It's a complex land. It's a whole world of pain. This is the problem. It's so far removed. These technical skills required to update these things are such a world away from what we do. I think there's a fear. I think we all know we should probably do this.
Yeah.
It's a bit like for some people, whether it's updating a will or whether it's, doing those little jobs at home. This is the single biggest thing that can move the needle in terms of your success and the future brand presence. So just spending a little bit of time. So sometimes it's just jogging the conscience. So I appreciate people's honesty in thinking that maybe there's work to do.
And sometimes, when you launch something brand new, you're so excited to do everything else that a brand doesn't really mean that much to you yet. You might just say, oh, it's just, my website's more like an online business card, or it's just a landing page just to show people that I am online. Where fast forward to today, it needs to have such a bigger impact in that client journey, because like you said, they're always going to research you. We're creatures of habit when it comes to research. The first thing you do is research where you're going to be buying from. Google reviews is a big thing. Maybe before they even go onto your website, they're going to see how many Google reviews that you've got, and if that's good, then they'll click onto your brand, and that's where that first impact really hits with a client, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Little bit of homework for everyone there then to maybe get some clients to give feedback on your brand, on your logo, on your website. Do they think it does you the best service that it probably could? Probably not, because you're way better probably than your online.
Maybe your next annual review, ask them what do you think your brand means to them? What does my brand mean to you? Just see if you're getting similar answers from your clients, or if people don't really take it into consideration.
So true. Love that. Thank you very much. That's spot on.
There you go.
Lovely.
You should be in control again.
Thank you very much. I have control. First time and only time today, probably. So my favourite article ever written by journalists, I don't always like what they write, and you don't get a lot of control over what they write, but the lovely Jenna Brown, a professional advisor, heard me speak at a PIMFA conference about a year or so ago. I was talking about the best kept secret, which are roles in financial services, because I think this is a marketplace that's underserved. I think there are not enough young people coming through into financial planning. And if we're honest, how many of us left school thinking, yeah, I'm going to be an IFA? Hell yeah, that's for me. Very, very few of us. And that's a shame, isn't it? And that's the problem. So for me, I take every opportunity to celebrate planning, to talk about the great work that advisors do, and to try to drive interest. And we're doing that a little bit at Tatton through internships and through work experience. So a very wide offer to everybody. If people have family members or people they would like to get experience, we're very, very happy to offer our support, and we will continue to advocate the sector and write about it, because we think that you need to be bolder. We think you need to be more confident about the great work that you do with your clients, and a refresh of your brand and what better way to do that. It's not letting me click again. There we go. Perfect. So if we look back at our learning objectives, hopefully they have become learning outcomes, and we've covered those in our time together today. If we have, we've achieved at least one thing, which on a hot Friday is enough to earn a nice lolly, most definitely. So if you don't mind, I'll just spend a couple of minutes talking about what we do at Tatton. I would imagine that a number of you very kindly giving up your time to be with us today will already have heard of us and may know what we do. As I mentioned earlier, we are a business set up purely to work with financial planners. And we genuinely mean that. This means that without you in the relationship, we can't work with your client. So every single one of our clients has a financial planner attached to their relationship with us. And if the client sacks you, they sack Tatton by default. That's how important you are to us. So we see you as our client and we see them as your client. And that's definitely true about the way that we run our service. The majority of our assets, and we're really proud now to have gone through 20 billion of your client assets, they are held within our model portfolios. Around 19.5 billion sit within those. We came into this market 13 years ago as a cost challenger at 15 basis points, and we've really passionately driven down the cost of that sector. And it's been wonderful to see the average price of MPS come down from over 30 basis points to around 16 or 17 basis points now. So I take that as a win, and I'm really, really proud of the work we've done to help you protect your fee, but also to make everyone play fair and genuinely offer the service at what is a compelling price. So super passionate about that. And we have a broad range of offerings, as you'd imagine, active and passive, hybrid income, ethical, all available across multiple platforms. We also have a fund range, which has around 900 million of assets in. Those are risk rated, and those are a copy of our hybrid portfolios and of our passive portfolios. So really offering you the choice and the ability to blend MPS and funds together. And then finally, for clients who want something a little bit more personal, we do have a small bespoke service available on platform. So it's not full fat bespoke, it's like a hybrid MPS bespoke, and that's super affordable and offers a really nice tailored service for clients who want to meet the manager and feel really connected to the investment manager, but not at the same premium prices that you would see for the old-fashioned bespoke offerings. So a broad church, I talk a lot about the Tatton church, the broad and breadth of offering that we have. Many risk profiles, all aligned to the key risk profilers that you'll be working with. So whether it's de facto, dynamic planner, eValue, Synaptics, Oxford Risk, there are so many out there now, they keep us on our toes. Our promise is, regardless of the style that you choose, we'll make sure that our portfolio stays in the lane. So if your clients are 6, we'll keep them a 6. You can pop them in there and forget about it. That's what we do. We will rebalance the portfolios intuitively. So we don't have a set frequency. We maybe do that 4 or 5 times a year, depending on the market opportunities that present. And because we have those discretionary permissions, we don't need to come back to the client every time. We have that ability to be nimble and make those changes as and when we want to. So super effective way of managing those investments. So lots of choices. Everyone asks, Justine, where is the money going? Well, what's popular, what's hot right now? So apart from the weather, we have seen a move towards our Tatton core. Those are the hybrid portfolios. So as I said earlier, sitting on the fence, that gives you a lovely ability to blend 2 styles without doing it yourself. So our Tatton core are a mix of the Tatton managed and Tatton tracker. 50-50, slam them together, you've got the hybrid portfolios. They are our most popular by inflows, closely followed by Tatton tracker, and perhaps surprisingly, the ethical portfolios. They have a 10-year track record, and they are really simple to explain to clients with positive and negative screening, and affordable. So for a lot of people, ethical is an absolute nightmare to research. It can be really complex. So a really lovely off-the-shelf solution. You can just pop the clients in and you don't need to worry about them. So something for everyone, hopefully. But our promise to you is to make sure that we don't compete. So the fact that you are the whole of our world, that we can't work with your client without you, knows that we'll never compete with you. We're not going to buy IFAs, have distribution, compete with you in that way. Our focus is purely to lighten your load, to drive down cost, and to make sure we support your business model. So we don't care what platform, we'll make our portfolios available. We don't care what style, we have something for everyone. And there will be times when you want to use managed and then you want to use passive. There'll be times when you want to blend that across your client bank. So we believe really, really passionately that you should have that choice available to you. And one of the things that we've become real experts at is delivering great communications. So we communicate relentlessly on the portfolios, on the investment decisions, whether it's videos from our chief investment officer, whether it's one pages talking about the market, an update on what's happening, whether it's Russia, whether it's Iran, the US elections, what's happening with volatility, why should clients stay put? We will arm you all the time, every single week, at least once, if not twice a week, we're providing you with relevant content to share with your clients. What better way can you engage with a provider to show the value of the work that you're doing together? And it really is a partnership in that sense. So it goes without saying that your success is our priority. And I did start with a thank you. I promised I would finish with one as well. So it's through advisors such as you that our success has come, and we don't take that for granted. So 1,100 firms putting their trust in Tatton. Massive, massive thank you. And very happy to take any questions from the audience, or just have a general chinwag. I can talk about anything you would like me to about the market, whatever you fancy.
Whatever you fancy. So yeah, if you've got any questions in regards to your brand or the presentation, or if you want to know a little bit more about Tatton, please do fire away any questions. I do just have one more thing that I want to quickly share, if that's okay. I just want to give just really a real quick and big shout out to everybody that's now collaborating with the club. So from your MPS solutions to platforms to tech to AI to recruitment, GDPR, whatever it may be, there are so many wonderful firms collaborating with the club now. They are there to support you on your journeys. They're there to support you as individuals, as businesses, whatever challenge that you're going through. There is light at the end of the tunnel, whether you're looking to overhaul your tech stack, change your investment strategy, whatever it may be, there are firms that are here to help you do exactly that. So any questions at all for Justine while you've got her? She is a wealth of knowledge. So use this time wisely.
I'm going to give a shout out to your webinar with Saturn, actually, if you don't mind, because that is a fantastic business. And we at Tatton have the pleasure of working with so many of these great companies that are providing innovative solutions. And we've been really impressed with what we've seen from Saturn.
Good.
Yeah, it's quite scary for me.
Yeah.
I'm in that really uncomfortable sweet spot where I know I should embrace this. And I'm trying to push myself out of my comfort zone to do that in a safe and responsible way. Yeah. And I'm not sure who's delivering that webinar, but having met Rohit and the team, they are genuinely impressive guys.
And fantastic. I think Tom's going to deliver the webinar. He was at our event a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I think it's a very, very exciting time for AI. I think the fear-mongering part of AI is going to replace you. I think that's a bit of a distant past now. I don't think people are worried about AI taking people's jobs now. I think they're just looking at AI to really streamline their business and give people the chance to look after more clients and service more clients more efficiently. So I think AI is going to be incredible for financial planning firms. I think there's a lot of uncertainty, a little bit of nervousness. People are not sure how to implement, whether they should just go for a company-wide overhaul of their tech stack and have AI at every point, or do you just start off slow and steady? People start off with, you know, the note takers in meetings, and I see one pop up in here. You know, I think people use Otter and Fathom and everything else, and Copilot for that. But I think it's going to be a big shift in the industry in the next 6 to 12 months with AI, what it's actually doing and what the plans are moving forward as well. I think it's going to be incredible.
I think the first step is to use it for maybe transcripts and note taking. That's where we learn to build confidence and we understand. But when you see what these kit can do now in terms of mining your client banks, in terms of helping you with suitability, in terms of helping you meet your consumer duty obligations, genuinely transformational. I've been forced to look by the younger, brilliant people in my business, and I'm so glad they made me open my eyes. I think it will be, I'm sure it'll be a great webinar.
It's just little things. I was speaking to an advisor the other day, and he doesn't use a note taker in any way, shape, or form. And he said, "Look, I spend hours writing up the meeting notes, and I just think that's so silly. That's such a waste of your time. And AI is not your enemy. It is there to give you time back. It might not be absolutely perfect to every single word, but 9 times out of 10, it's pretty close to the mark, and you can just fill in the blanks. There's I think one of our webinars or something, NPS, it wasn't picking up NPS probably. When someone said NPS, AI wasn't picking up NPS, it was picking up another word kind of thing. So it's not perfect, but it's just using audio to, transcript the meeting. So, but it's pretty close to the mark, right?
Yeah, very much so. And I think it is going to be the future in terms of bringing that, just as it's done, automation is done for factories. If we look at what's happened in, manual handling or car manufacturing, we see machines and humans coexisting.
Yeah.
I think eventually it's going to be the thing that separates the fast and the great from those that are like growing a little more slowly.
This is it. I think it goes back down to sort of like the innovation part of things with, when you look at Netflix and Blockbuster, Blockbuster not even into the online world, and now where are Blockbuster kind of
BlackBerry and Apple. Look at
BlackBerry and Apple.
So fascinating.
Yeah, exactly that.
Well, I'm going to join for that one, so I'm going to register. So
come along. It'll be very, very good. As always, I know people are still sticking around, so if you've still got questions, please do fire them away. Amanda says she uses AI more than Google now, which people do. I think and I think another big thing for advisors at the minute is coming up on ChatGPT or other AI models when people type in financial advice in, because people are using. And I think I even see a widget, Amanda, you might have seen this as well. It come up recently saying, would I like to use ChatGPT as my main search engine now? So now when you open up a web browser, for example, it will take me to your Googles, your Bings, or whatever you want your main search browser to be. I'm pretty certain I see ChatGPT join that arena as well. So I think it is. It's an exclusive, Amanda. New information. So I think that is going to be it's going to start to be people's first point of call now. I think
so. And I think it's just a case of a leap of faith. Just as we're hopefully encouraging people to change or address or challenge themselves in terms of their branding, it's do one thing that makes you uncomfortable. I've got a mug on my desk. Here we go. Evidence. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Yes.
There we go. That's where the magic happens. Out there, not here.
Exactly that.
Here endeth the lesson for today.
Is that why you're now cycling or riding a bike all around Scotland? Was that your outside of your comfort zone, would you say?
Very much outside of my comfort zone.
Really?
Yeah, but fantastic. I got this tan there.
And that's in Scotland, guys. It is sunny in Scotland. Who would have thought?
Exactly that.
As always, please do complete the feedback form.
Thank you.
I know there's a question on there from Justin about future content. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to see moving forward? Because she's a whiz. She's a whiz with research. She's even better at putting together PowerPoint presentations. So if there's anything in particular you'd like to see from Justine moving forward, let us know. Have a wonderful weekend. It's going to be glorious sunshine. It's going to be hot. So have a lovely weekend. And I look forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks.
See you later. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.